I'm sorry, what? Haunted Museum, also known as Panic Museum, is a 2009 arcade rail shooter developed by GameWax and published by Taito. Playing as agents Chris Wilde and Akira Nakata, we investigate a series of strange disappearances taking place at a large museum. It turns out that at night, the museum's collections come to life, and we are quickly trapped inside. The game has an insanely large and varied enemy roster, and it takes a distinctively weird route with the story, with the ending in particular feeling like a completely different game altogether, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Finding info in the first game's legitimate arcade booth was surprisingly difficult, but as far as I can tell, there were no sit-down variants. In fact, one of the few versions I'm confident is legit is a standing booth with a curtain and standard pistol light guns. However, it is notable that the art on the booth is very well done with a lot of detail. The main characters and some of the many enemies look great in 2D, and it's hard not to stop and inspect the art whenever I see it. However, what I think might be the North American region booths are less impressive, with no curtain and the art limited to a couple small side panels. There also appears to be an open-air variant with more of the original art, though this time it has an inverted filter on it to give it a heavy blue scheme. A large plastic ring is on top of the middle compartment. This will make more sense once it comes up in the game, but this ring is likely used to track the player's progress throughout the playthrough. I'll give kudos to them for trying to make something unique, but the final product looks a bit bootleggy compared to the full art curtains of the original. At least, what I think is the original. Sega games are distinctively easier to research, I've discovered. Now, real quick, the disclaimers. I'm going to go beat by beat through the story, giving full but linear spoilers as I do. This applies to both games I'll be covering today. I know spoilers aren't a big deal for a vast majority of rail shooters, but trust me when I say that the ending of the first game is best experienced blind. So if you have the means, feel free to go play the games and then come back to compare notes. Trust me, it's quite the experience. Alright, now without further ado, let's jump into the story. The Attract demo is just a clip of the opening and the typical gameplay footage, so let's move on to when you press start.
So this is the place, right?
That's right, Chris. All evidence concerning the missing persons incidents this week ends here. What could have happened here?
The answer is inside.
It's kinda creepy, isn't it?
What are you, afraid?
What? It's no use. It won't open.
Looks like we've got no choice but to go forward. Let's check out the area.
This will be our level select. Each level takes place in a museum exhibit. There are 3 different possible modes for level selection, as decided in the service menus. A set level order, a player's option between 3 levels at a time, and an option between 2 levels at a time. I also like how our aim is marked by the glow of our flashlights. It's a nice and immersive aiming reticle that I'm happy to say reappears often in the game, including during cutscenes. Anyway, let's address the levels in the order they would appear if the level selection was turned off. First is Ancient Civilizations.
Okay, we're going in.
I don't like this. What is this?
The mummies are moving!
We start this level in familiar territory, with bandaged up mummies being our first enemy. Some even still have their death mask on, which gives them a few extra hits to take down. There is also a visually identical ranged variant that shoots ghost fire skulls at you. Though the buildup of his attack is long enough that he'll rarely get a hit in. Funny enough, these projectiles can be blocked by the destructible background drops, though this isn't a viable strategy while playing. Oh, and real quick, if you've noticed the timer at the top of the screen, don't sweat it. If it runs out, you'll instantly die, but you'll simply lose a life, and if you have the money, you won't have to restart your playthrough. Between that and how generous the timer is, you're unlikely to run it out until the very end segment of the game. But I'm getting ahead of myself. A singular bird totem and some bats join in as non-swarming flying enemies. And on the ceiling, the Okay. The mummies were apparently of gecko men because our undead friends can climb up on the ceiling. Hey, do you guys know how much of a pain it is to clean a ceiling? We continue down a hallway and are met with Anubis statues that serve as ranged turrets. Rather than using ghostly skulls as projectiles, the jackals shoot their own faces as ghost fire, which is a nice touch, if a bit goofy. Continuing on, we get a Japanese cultural lesson of all things.
Hey, look at those balls!
That's a honeymoon, a very old
Tell me about
Japanese
it
figure.
later.
The Haniwa dance has the most coordinated flying enemies I've covered so far, before slamming themselves into our face. No time to breathe though. We turn to see some multi-layered totems that shoot good old fireballs at us. You have to destroy them by each individual tier, which most players will do without thinking. Funny enough, it is possible to disarm them without completely destroying them, leading to an awkward moment before the game decides to move on.
Let's get out of here!
What are you talking about?
Oh, that's actually a neat use of the setting and enemies.
There's another one! We're surrounded!
You can hide there. It's moving.
We're gonna crash! Where are we?
Whoa, what? Yep, the last section of each major level is marked by us entering an entirely new dimension inspired by the exhibit's theme. In this case, we are in a minecart in what is likely an Egyptian quarry. These sections are definitely a case of turning things up to 11, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Automatically armed with a shotgun that is functionally identical to a pistol, we are swarmed by bats, stalagmites, boulders, and flying scorpions.
This is sickening.
Deal with it.
None of this even comes close to the boss of this level, which might be one of the most batshit bosses in rail shooter history.
This looks bad.
Don't just stand there. Let's get on with it.
That's right, folks. The big boss of this level is the Sphinx. Not a Sphinx cat, or a flesh and blood Sphinx, not even a Sphinx-shaped golem, just flat out, the Sphinx. As in the statue, he will occasionally open his mouth to reveal more scorpions, or raise his paw to reveal spikes, but he is otherwise just a giant floating statue that chases you. So the gimmick with the major bosses is that they are guarding a core somewhere on their body. These are marked by glowing blue lights, and only damage done to these weak points count as damage to the boss. This has a major problem. No matter where in the boss battle you are, and no matter what complex animation the boss is doing, the answer to beating them is always the same, and it is completely possible to kill a boss before they even finish their first animation. If you do fail to kill them fast enough though, the environment will simply repeat with a dialogue line or two about how difficult the battle is, marking the end of the loop. I think most people would have to try to loop more than once though.
Damn it. Why is it so tough? Let's do it.
Oh, wow, that is bright.
Looks like we've made it back somehow.
This must mean we have to collect them all.
Between some of the major levels are these bonus stages. These stages have small challenges that reward a large amount of points. For example, in this first bonus level, the gift shop Bonanza, we're armed with automatics and tasked with destroying large amounts of merchandise lining the shelves. Knowing that this is a normal museum during the day makes this level funny to me. None of these items are possessed or dangerous. We're just destroying the gift shop because bonus points. Succeeding in a challenge will net some extra bonus points, but the story itself doesn't change any. Continuing on, let's take a peek at the Grand Library.
I love the smell of books.
They smell like they're half rotten. flying books?
Our main enemy of this level is, appropriately enough, books. Said books fly around in a hovering pattern before throwing themselves at us. It's surprisingly well done, and it gives off a Harry Potter or Merlin's Tower type of feel.
Soldiers? From the cards?
Interesting turn. The books can summon enemies from public domain novels. You could probably base a whole game around that concept. First off, we have the card guards from Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Although their mustaches are an upsetting touch, despite coming in different suits, whether they use their spears as ranged or melee weapons appears to be independent of their visual variation. Oh, Frankenstein's monster. Don't worry. Despite the elevated intensity of this chase, you can't take damage during this brief segment.
Did you see that? Did you?
What is that thing?
I love this. We are attacked by classic fairy tale witches who fly around on broomsticks and chuck jack-o'-lanterns at us. The best part is that after you clear a couple waves of witches, you get this awkward moment as one final witch is spawned way too late.
It's him again!
You're never gonna make friends if you keep pestering us!
Frankenstein's monster then proceeds to pull out random fairy tale creatures, such as Humpty Dumpty, and chuck them at us in one of the funniest attack patterns I've seen in a rail shooter. It's a chaotic mess, and I love it. Frustrated, the monster grabs up a particularly large number of characters and makes his way towards us to attack. This lines him up perfectly with a chandelier, which we shoot down to crush him. Fun fact, even if you don't shoot during this section, the chandelier still falls. Either way, I wonder if this library also has non-fiction.
What is that book? An insect encyclopedia?
It's sucking us in!
Bees?
Why is it always bees? Armed with burst shots, we've been transported to a hornet-infested forest. We move surprisingly slow at first, barely passing a few trees before the level's boss spawns in.
Aren't they a bit overfed?
It's big! This looks bad!
The wasp flies about above us, occasionally firing glowing eggs at us. Despite her massive size and intimidating appearance, most of the damage you'll receive while fighting her will be from the normal enemies swarming around.
I've had it! Give me some bug spray, will ya?
Why would I have something like that?
Despite this, the boss is still pretty simple and easy.
Let's do it!
Fuck you, bees!
That's enough insects to last a lifetime.
Same here.
For a bit of a breather, let's take a look at the general visuals. For 2009, the graphics are okay, but not particularly special for a PC arcade game. In fact, I would say it's kind of ugly, but that's mostly due to the inconsistent texture quality and basic shadows. In the end, it doesn't matter too much, and actually adds a bit to the dreamlike feel of the game, especially on the more fantastical enemies. I will also say that there is a lot of nice small background detail. Still, this means the game has aged notably poorly in the visual department. Either way, let's move on to the next stage.
I can smell gunpowder.
Our first enemy are these scale model name planes. They drop mini nukes on us that are thankfully just toys. I wouldn't put it past this game to put a real nuke at some point. These planes are followed out by more planes that do plane things like shooting, flying, and driving into us kamikaze style. Sorry to the flying machine nerds in the comments. My knowledge of aircraft begins and ends here. You can join the gun and makeup nerds in disappointment. I have my intellectual limits.
Yikes! Looks like we're not welcome here.
Appropriately, the technological advancement of the planes progresses as we go along, with bomb-dropping attack helicopters eventually joining in. We even get some mini jets.
Wow, cool.
Hey, this is no time to be admiring.
At some point, the game just gives up and starts spamming us with massive swarms of melee damaged planes. This lasts for several waves before our characters get the hint.
We'll take shelter here.
Whoa, that was close.
We're flying. Let's take it to them with the RPGs. Roger.
So this boss world is a slow flight over a major city. We are armed with RPGs, but they don't act or feel any different than a standard pistol. In fact, the auto-fire pickups are still better when available. The RPG switch is more to justify our destruction of the various tanks and missile-firing helicopters that make up the common enemies of this level. In fact, the boss of this level is a suited-up attack helicopter.
This guy's making me up my game.
You're a real man, Akira.
Yeah, I'm sure you mean that.
The loop of this fight is around the skyscrapers and outside of the museum itself, which is pretty neat. The boss will rarely actually fire at the player, and when it does, it's exclusively the same missiles as the other helicopters.
There's things just flying around everywhere.
During the fight, some fighter jets will zoom by, but they don't actually attack you. Most of the damage to the player during this loop comes from the occasional wave of common helicopters. But unlike the B fight, they are far from a constant presence. Appropriately, the boss's core is visible in the cockpit.
Let's do it.
We're halfway there at last.
Don't get careless.
Where do we go next?
Let's take a look at another bonus level.
Having studied the current situation and assuming from what we know...
There's no time for talking. Ah!
These two can't catch a break, can they? Caution Rocks task us with shooting a rock in hopes we destroy it before it reaches us. Specifically, we need to shoot it the number of times specified by the number in front of the rock. Success will destroy the rock and net us some nice bonus points. We're diving into some natural history with the Aquatic Lifeforms exhibit.
Something smells fishy.
We start with some slow-moving flying ammonites. When they attack, they'll do a Pokemon and use rollout.
Ouch!
They're barely a warm-up though.
Wow, a living fossil.
Oh, come on.
Now wait a minute. Horseshoe crabs aren't even extinct. Despite opening with an extinct animal and having several in this level, the enemies are not exclusively extinct. In fact, I would say most are still living, though that doesn't mean I don't feel any less sad about killing them. If ammonite and sea roaches aren't enough for you, we are greeted on the stairs by these doofy-ass sharks.
Ow!
I legit love their plastic-looking grins.
Wow, a flying fish?
I can see that.
Ow!
Female anglers and super spiky pufferfish join in.
These fish don't look like they'd taste very
You
good.
wanna taste them?
At the top of the stairs, we can see that all the fish are breaking loose. Wow, I really like the immediate variety in this game. I mean, that could be said for the whole game, but there's something nice about seeing several variants of an enemy at once. There are even some harmless background creatures, like schools of small fish and coelacanth.
Was that a shark?
Dude, there was a shark like a minute ago. I'm more worried about these giant mutant eel dragon fish-looking things. It's hard to take the sharks seriously when they are torpedoing into us, complete with flashing red proximity warnings.
What? Now we're in the sea!
Rapid fire harpoons, baby! Along with the normal fish, they've revved up the number of great whites. With rapid fire harpoons, though, it's unlikely they'll even get close to the player.
A fish? I've never seen anything like it.
Our boss this evening is a giant, ugly catfish? Goldfish. Fun fact, it was seeing the boss hanging from a ceiling display that triggered it. While fantastical, it's still an interesting design, and a fish with a pinch of dragon makes a more unique boss than the obvious go-to of a great white. It'll swoop by at lightning speed, but its core is in its mouth, so every swoop leaves it open to attack.
Let's do it.
Oh God, my eyes!
Ah, the mysteries of the sea!
If you're talking mysteries, there's a lot more of them here in the museum.
Before moving on, let's take a look at the various pickups and the random event that can occur during a playthrough. First off, in addition to the weapon swaps during boss fights, there is a weapon pickup that you can grab: automatic rifles. No matter what weapon you have, you can switch to a faster automatic. This weapon upgrade is better than any other weapon in the game, and it is present in every boss fight and littered around the levels. It's also not shared between players, and can be stacked in terms of grabbing more ammo. Remember this gun, as the sequel will do something interesting with it. Besides the weapon pickup, we have these boxes throughout the museum. They take one shot to open, and another shot is required to pick up their respective item. Most boxes have score-boosting items, like coins and gold bars, though some might have weapon upgrades or health restores. Finally, there are the accessories. Found spinning in the backgrounds of the main levels are these accessories ranging from glasses to knights' helmets to cow hoods. When picked up, whatever character picked up the item will be wearing it until it's replaced. Items that don't conflict can be worn at the same time. The only real time to view the characters wearing the items is during the cutscenes, which can have some appropriately goofy results. I like these, and it's fun to see what you can find in a given playthrough, as they often blend in well with the backgrounds of their respective exhibits.
Oh, look at those cute dollies.
Get serious, will you?
Huh. Toy and Hobbies feels a bit specialized for what appears to be a general subject museum, but there's no doubt that the devs had fun here. We start off strong with possessed dolls, though you can tell which ones are possessed or not based on the color of their dress. We drop that quickly though, and focus in on this large castle set. Toy British soldiers come out in waves, and some will fire at the player as marked by the light of their flintlocks. The final wave is larger than the previous, but instead of firing the guns, they rush the player instead. We turn to move around the castle, but before we can get far, several toy cars drop down from a higher level, hitting the ground before driving into our faces and exploding. Up next is another Japanese reference.
What's this?
Japanese dolls?
We have more dangerous things to worry about, though. More kamikaze cars and some attack helicopters from Aeronautics join the fray.
I used to have toys like that.
I bet they weren't as dangerous. Ouch!
We walk up some ominous stairs, and let's just say I hope you're not afraid of, well, I hear you like clowns. We get a brief mini-boss. This psychic puppet will spam waves of flying swords at us. Shooting her once will spawn a ring of defensive crystal balls, though you can just shoot around them to finish her off by destroying her head and torso. And she didn't even read my fortune. Seriously, there will be a lot of clowns in this video. For now, the clowns will fly behind the chess pieces and throw dynamite at us. Despite whether or not you've cleared out the clowns, the chess pieces will start to move.
Ooh, my head's spinning.
Keep your eye on it.
Our characters continue on to a building block village, though that may have been a bad idea. I got you some more clowns to go with your clowns. Despite the abundance of clowns, they don't actually attack here and don't have much of a chance to either.
No! It's a robot!
One weird creature after another.
Our boss has arrived. For now, it appears to be a humanoid made up of mostly electricity. We are given retro-style pistols, though again, the only difference between it and the regular pistol fire are the visual effects.
It feels like those toys are playing with us.
Our boss is a toy robot using other toys to make up its torso and upper limbs. I love all the horses and soldiers that explode off the robot as you damage him. Even with the robot hopping around and waves of haunted dolls occasionally attacking, the boss goes down nothing flat if you focus on its core.
Let's do it.
Those dolls were creepy, like something in a nightmare.
I thought they were kind of cute.
It's time for our final bonus level.
The situation doesn't look good.
It's coming.
Cannon Mania challenges us to destroy all the projectiles before they can hit us. We have to survive multiple rounds of cannon fire, which increases volume over time. This challenge is surprisingly difficult, as it will quickly fill your screen with cannonballs. In the end though, don't sweat it too much. After that bit of a warm-up, let's check out the Armory.
Looks like this area might be dangerous.
Concentrate and brace yourself.
As one might expect, the Haunted Armory exhibit is filled with possessed and flying weapons. We start off with our old pals, the Phantom Swords. It's a ghost trapped in a sword! Shoot the sword! Evil swords that devour souls! Dark swords of horror! Oh, that was quick. We turn and are met by suits of armor.
Did that just move?
They're still moving.
Cheeky little things. They're just hollow inside.
Despite their bulletproof shields, the suits of armor are relatively quick to kill, but they also have a few tricks up their metal sleeves.
Whoa, watch out!
Target the ones controlling the catapult.
The catapults are a much bigger problem, and the player will have to juggle between clearing projectiles and the suits. I do love how if you have a catapult with too few operators, the remaining knights will flee. The catapults will also explode on their own if you take too long to clear the knights.
Is something shaking?
Something's coming!
I don't think cannons got that big back then. Either way, scythes and axes join the fray, turning the whole scene into a bit of a clusterfuck. While we're here, I want to take a moment to say that I love how if you destroy a suit's upper body, the legs will continue to run for a while before falling over dead. Anyway,
We're saved!
It's too soon to relax.
A ninja?
that's right, ninjas.
Wow, it's like watching a movie.
Said ninjas enter a strange loop. They'll reach for their swords, change their mind, throw shadow or flaming ninja stars, shadow magic away, and then immediately shadow magic their way back to where they were a second ago. The window between attacks is so great thanks to this, that letting them get a hit in is almost a conscious effort on the part of the player. Either way, the best part of them is their death scream. We continue our Japanese history lesson.
What's next? A samurai? Or a shogun?
Flying samurai armor shoots us with flaming arrows, or lunges at us with katanas. Best part is the death scream still though. We work our way to the modern and even future weapons side of the room.
Did you push something?
I didn't touch anything. It's sucking us in! No way! This can't be happening!
Woo! Now we're in space. Hovering around the Earth, we fight spaceships with our lasers. Although the space enemies are rather basic, the environment and tonal shift is a ride all its own.
A black hole?
Appropriate reaction.
It's sucking us in!
Switching to autopilot. Initiating warp speed. 3, 2, 1. Transport complete.
Oh, hello Star Wars.
Whoa! Haven't you seen this in a movie before?
Don't talk! Shoot!
We slow down as the rate of enemies speed up as we glide along the surface of a Star Destroyer. Imperial cruiser. Large, legally distinct spaceship. I'm not going to lie, the slowdown hurts a little. This is quickly made up for as we break away from the ship to zoom around an asteroid field. Because of course there's an asteroid field. We're in space.
A space command center?
If only I could destroy this thing. I'd be the hero of the galaxy.
It's okay our heroes are embracing the madness, right? Oh well. Wait for the weak spot to be pointed out before wailing on it. If you kill it too slowly, the camera will dip down to where the weak spot is no longer in view. Just focus on the weaker enemies in the meantime as the camera swoops back up and around. The illusion core should be in clear view now, and the player should focus in on it regardless of its protective shield being up or not. Whole thing shouldn't take you more than a few seconds.
Let's do it!
This is all of them, isn't it?
Looks like it.
Is it open? Finally, we've made it out.
Looks like they're not gonna make it easy for us to leave.
Yeah, you're seeing that right. It was aliens all along. The final enemies of this game are alien greys. I'm going to be honest here. I lost my shit at this revelation. My brain had trouble comprehending this ending because it is simultaneously batshit and perfect for this game. I kind of expected the ending to involve the Tyrannosaurus skeleton visible in the lobby of the museum. After all, it also appears in the game's official artwork despite the lack of a dinosaur-themed level. Then again, the alien ending sparks joy on an unexplainable level for me, so I'll forgive it. The Greys themselves are not particularly impressive. They go down in one hit, and most of the challenge comes from how many enemies they spam at you. Still, you'll have to grab as much of the health and auto-fire pickups as you can at the start of the level, because just a few minutes in, we face the final boss of the game.
Is this one of their weapons?
Let's see if we can use it. It's huge!
We don't have much time left. I'll take care of the big one.
It's the mothership, and it's up to us to protect the museum. You have a very short amount of time to kill this thing, 20 seconds on normal difficulty. You'll have to completely ignore the jetpack aliens and focus all fire on the ship's weak spot if you want even the slightest hope of killing the boss in time. And you'll want that too, as this is the only deciding factor in which ending you get. let's take a look at the bad ending first.
We're being sucked in!
Started further investigation on the site as 2 of the missing inspectors are also supposed to be involved in the same incident. In other news, a UFO has been seen flying over the museum. Take a look at the video on our viewers.
Our heroes have been abducted by aliens and are presumed missing by the unsuspecting public. According to the newspaper, the previous victims of the museum were able to escape by their efforts, but the public has no idea it was the agents that freed them. Which is funny, since according to the voiceover lady, the victims are still missing and the UFO was recorded for all to see. Oh well, let's see the good ending now.
Let's do it!
And more than 100 workers have started repairing the displays from the museum, devastated by the crash of the giant UFO.
So in the end, those guys in there, what do you think they were doing?
I have no idea. Anyway, what's our next assignment?
It seems our hero's work is never done, but at least aliens have been arrested in the history of humankind. And that was Haunted Museum. Before calling it just yet, we need to listen closer to the music for a bit. The themes used in the opening and ending both have a good mysterious and dangerous feel to them. It could easily fit in with an action scene in a mystery film, especially a Japanese one. The level select music, the first time you hear it, also has a mysterious tone, but it's replaced with a much more casual number after the first selection, likely to reflect our increased knowledge of the situation. The music is then divided up between the horror-toned dark exhibit theme, the action remix of said theme for when the exhibits start their attack, and then a level-specific theme for the boss fight worlds. The music is overall very fitting to the various scenarios. However, I wish the music loops were longer than what we get, as I notice the repeating music more often while recording. Funny enough, the shortest level, the fight with the aliens, has the most music dedicated to it, having both the longest singular track and the most level-specific ones. Haunted Museum, while flawed, is an excellent entry in the rail shooter genre. The concept is great, the creativity is unique, and the variety in environments and enemies is top tier. They make great use of their mystery horror angle, even if the game is downright comedic by the end. The only major flaw with it in my mind is that the game is clearly living in the shadow of what came before it, namely classic Sega rail shooters. The Sphinx boss isn't too far off from Maze of Kings. The ocean level invokes Ocean Hunter, the space area flat out references Star Wars in anything but name, etc., etc. This isn't inherently a bad thing, but there are several moments where the game puts aside its own creativity in service of imitating something from another game. That is definitely not enough to make me not recommend this game whenever the chance comes up. It's a very unique title that deserves love. But hey, despite having a clown enemy, they never really referenced Carnival, did they? Well, that was because they were saving that for the sequel. That was a segue! Haunted Museum 2, also known as Welcome to FrightFearLand, is a 2011 arcade rail shooter developed by GameWax and published by Taito. Returning as agents Chris Wilde and Akira Nakata, we investigate a series of strange disappearances taking place at a large theme park. In addition to the obvious connections to the first game, such as the return of our main characters, FrightFearLand does what a sequel should, and takes many aspects from the first game and refines them into something more enjoyable and polished. That in mind, FrightFearLand still has a lot of that Taito rail shooter jank, and the more specialized setting means more specified visual design policies. Still, I think FrightFearLand deserves a proper analysis. Don't you? The machines, despite coming in multiple sizes, have the same body plan. They are standing booths with mounted machine gun-shaped controllers. The muzzle has a row of lights that flash red to emulate gunfire. The side button on the gun was likely used to switch weapons, though I haven't been able to confirm this. Something odd about the design is that the guns have a back number, presumably to track ammo amounts. However, in all the footage of the booths I've found, the back number is stuck at 00. In the game, the fully automatic fire of the main weapon will usually be in the hundreds range, while the numbers on the guns are double digits. The secondary weapon is a pistol, but that one has unlimited ammo. There aren't any grenades or similar tertiary weapons, which is usually what I see those back numbers used for, so... Anyway, just like the first game, the attract demos are just gameplay clips in the opening cutscene. Even the trailer-like text is in the cutscene itself, so let's just jump into the story.
So this is the location of our latest missing persons assignment.
A theme park?
It's been closed for 7 years.
What's that?
It's one of the missing people.
There's still more people inside. Please, help them.
Let's go for it!
Wait.
So, yeah. We've been tasked with saving civilians from this monster-filled park. This is backed up by the gameplay too, by the way. Throughout the game, there will be humans in need of rescuing. There are 100 in all. You'll have to shoot around them and sometimes actively help them. Common enemies can't hit them in most situations, so in those scenarios, they'll have to save themselves after they get off screen. However, sometimes they'll be trapped in barrels or held hostage during a specific challenge, at which point they'll need active assistance. The game really has fun with these challenges too, and the variety of rescue scenarios adds some nice gameplay diversity to everything. And of course, the player can accidentally kill the civilians themselves. And thusly, civilians do that fun thing where they randomly pop up on screen or stand up from cover. Shooting gallery tradition and all that. Similar to the first game, FrightFearLand has service options to decide if the level order is set, random, or decided by the player. The map of the park changes to reflect the linear or player-chosen options. Linear depicts a single pathway snaking through the park, while the player-chosen shows the individual pathways separated from each other. This way, finding an individual level on the map is rather simple, regardless of the level selection setting. Unlike the first game, assuming players are given the option, the player can choose any of the starting pathways and are not limited to 2 or 3 options. The levels are overall smaller, but several are strung together to create a cohesive pathway through the park, with a major boss at the end of each pathway. Between this and the 5 different pathways you can choose from, the game feels very eventful and fast-paced without sacrificing actual gameplay. All of that in mind, we'll once again be covering the levels in the order you'd play them, assuming level selection was turned to the set order. So, we'll start with the swing.
Help! Oh no! We have to help!
We start up right in the middle of the action, with clowns closing in on some civilians. Unlike most other victims, these two actually will die if you don't clear out the clowns fast enough. These clowns in question will be our standard enemies for the entire game, and they'll usually be armed with axes, swords, or dynamite. To add to the chaos of the scene, civilians being chased by axe-wielding bears and clowns will run across the screen. These bears appear to be mechanically identical to the standard clowns, and they don't appear often after this scene. More notably is the Rambo-themed clown that has just joined the scene for the fun of it. This flavor of clown is fairly common throughout the game, and they'll often run on screen just to spray and pray everywhere. I kind of like these guys because they genuinely look like they're having a blast, just adding to the insanity of whatever scene they're in. You might have noticed the ammo pickups dropped by the enemies. This is because the game defaults you to a limited ammo automatic machine gun. Your ammo amount is tracked on the bottom right of your on-screen aiming reticle. You have a pistol in case you run out of ammo or switch weapons, but the game is balanced around the rapid fire, and many sections will devastate the player without it. Destructible items such as barrels usually hold extra ammo and life, as well as score boosters and the occasional hidden hostage. Speaking of hostages,
It started moving.
Watch the civilians!
My head is spinning.
we'll occasionally get hostage-based challenges like this, and they often use the environment in a fun way. Here we have to shoot the clowns while avoiding the civilians as the swings spin faster. At some point, the clowns will be flung at the player, damaging them directly. An unskilled player could choose between risking the civilians versus the damage given by the clowns, but for the best results, clearing the clowns quickly and efficiently is preferred.
Thank you.
Help!
More! Again!
So whiny.
Watch out!
Only shoot the clowns!
This time, the civilians are hanging from platforms with tails of clowns hanging off of them. Using event-exclusive snipers, we have to shoot off the clowns while leaving the civilians untouched. The obvious answer is to shoot the highest clown on the chain, but doing so risks shooting the civilian.
Someone's stuck up there!
Let's help!
Continuing this wave of civilian rescues, this woman is trapped on a roof. Clowns have set up 3 emergency ladders to come and get her. Waves of clowns will go up the ladders at a steady pace and must be shot away before they reach the woman. Occasionally, a faster than normal clown will upset the pace, and the overall number of clowns going up will increase. This is probably the most dedicated effort required to rescue a single civilian in the whole game, and I can't help but suspect this level was early in development, with the rescuing being such a constant focus. After saving the woman, we immediately move on to the next level.
Thank you! That was close!
It's a circus! Yippee!
What a child!
Clowns on motorcycles.
A kidnapping!
Let's help!
We chase after them into the circus tent. Naturally, it's filled with clowns, but also an elephant rolling around on a ball in the background.
There's even an elephant here!
Well, it is a circus after all.
It's here we can see another flavor of clown that will be appearing throughout the game. These larger clowns will often be holding large items, with the intent of chucking them at the player. They'll start with a box or barrel with ammo and other goodies inside. If the player doesn't kill the clown after destroying the first item, the clowns will spawn in easy-to-destroy pumpkins to throw at the player, followed by a practically invincible boulder. After the boulder, the clowns will just die, having served their purpose. Of course, all of this can and probably will be avoided by just killing the clown in a timely manner. They even often have health bars so the players can keep pace. Anyway, back to the circus. We enter the tent and are attacked by some crusty jugglers and furries being shot out of cannons.
A flying rabbit?
These rabbits reappear surprisingly often throughout the game, but here we can easily clear them out as they walk towards the cannon or while they're midair. Now, because the chaos is revving up as we travel through the seats, the hostages in the room start bouncing up, but thankfully, most of them are on stage.
Help! Ow!
It's a time bomb!
Let's disarm it!
Time to defuse a bomb. Are we qualified to do this? Probably not, but at least the game tells us what order to cut the wires.
Red, yellow, green, black, blue.
And they apparently died off screen because we just move on after that. Success, at least, wins us some cheers.
Thank you.
Though, it's possible we're just leaving them in the cage after that.
What? It's a tiger!
Kitties! And that's it for the tigers. Which is fine because they were kind of ugly. We clear the knife throwers, and if up to it, we can claim some of the life on the board. What's funny is that we are more dangerous to the hostage than the clowns, as they never hit her and instead switch their focus to us after a bit.
Thank you.
This time it's an elephant.
Come on, let's run up here.
Up on the scaffolding, we get a clear view of the seats, but more importantly, the mastermind of this whole mess is up here.
What?
Oh, hello, Dumbo. Bosses have life bars complete with information text. However, the latter is completely useless. Circus, huge enemy approaching, attack and destroy. No shit. All the bosses say the same thing, by the way. The level name followed by huge enemy approaching, attack and destroy. The exception is the final boss, where instead it says last enemy approaching instead of huge enemy approaching. Such a big difference. Unlike the first game, the bosses of FrightFearLand lack a weak point and instead take a bullet sponge approach to damage. Because of this, the player will likely go through their attack loop a bit more and see how much the devs have put into the fights. Dumbo's fight loop takes the player around the arena twice.
Ready, let's go!
The elephant will kick chairs and giant beach balls at the player's face, and failing that, it'll spit clown spiders and bats. And the elephant even knocks us back with a sneeze at some point.
Just keep shooting, will you?
Ew. Between the constant movement and the fun music, this fight is a joy that takes advantage of the setting quite well. Dumbo's design is quite creative, basically converting an elephant into a big bird. I will say that the toes are a bit weird and the spikes along the trunk are just stuck in, but I'm overall very happy with the creature design and the battle as a whole. Apparently though, Dumbo is explosive, as seen in his death scene.
The statue.
5 bases, meaning we've got 4 more to collect.
Continuing the linear path order, let's check out the adventure show.
Another kidnapping?
Chase it!
Damn it! Didn't make it in time.
I wonder how we open it.
Open sesame! Would that work? Wow, it really worked!
Okay, I love that. We open up with some Arabian clowns. Despite their Middle Eastern makeover, they are functionally identical to the normal clowns. Either way, we follow the cave to a room filled with treasure. In this room, we switch to a flashlight and participate in a shooting gallery-like scene. From behind the various props, clowns will pop up to attack the player. To foil the player, multiple citizens will also pop up. While the yellow speech bubbles will help on identifying the civilians, someone with a twitchy trigger finger or bad aim might still mess up here. We continue through the caverns, though this one is swarming with clown spiders and not clown bats. The 2 main swarm enemies of this game are wall-crawling spiders and hovering bats, except they're clowns. Though that only half matters here because for whatever reason, these bats are normal bats rather than clown bats. We move on and come out into a large cavern. From the seating and large ship, it's safe to conclude that this was the set of a large Arabian Nights themed stage show. The clowns have a different use for it though.
It's a pirate ship.
Is it a fish?
Clown mermaids. Well, I can't say I saw that coming, so points for creativity.
It's not fish, they're mermaids!
They're a bit ugly for mermaids.
I love them, I'm not gonna lie.
What? There's loads of them!
What's that?
The bridge is collapsing!
We work our way to the back of the ship and hit the slide. Seems there's a bit more in the back.
How about a tasty apple?
Witches!
Another shooting gallery, though this one's more structured and official. There is a set number of witches who will pop up from specific spots to throw apple bombs at us. Naturally, there are also civilians who might pop up instead. The end result is a classic setup, and with the witches backdrop, I can't help but find it all amusing. Once you clear out all the witches, your prize is the remaining citizens. Speaking of shooting gallery,
Cool! A shooting gallery!
Want a quick match?
Sure!
oh, this is a nice breather. Here we have an actual genuine shooting gallery. There are no point lost targets, and anything you shoot, you keep. So, using this, you can easily replenish your life and boost up your score. If there are 2 players active, then what you collect will be tallied up separately at the end, and the winner character will do a victory cheer.
That was expected, really.
Oh.
I really appreciate the moments to breathe like this, and the little competition between players that it promotes is a nice touch.
Well, I don't like to show off, but...
I can't believe it!
The roller coaster is probably my favorite boss of this game.
Look, he's waving.
He's making fun of us.
We warm up with a small number of clowns as we get on the ride.
Let's get on this and chase him!
Wow, he's moving!
This boss is a blast. The loop of this fight is, appropriately enough, the course of the roller coaster. Compared to the elephant, the events of the coaster's boss loop is distinctively looser and more chaotic. The possessed coaster is surprisingly intimidating, with it often ignoring the track entirely as it flies alarmingly close to us. It will occasionally throw recycled sea roaches at us, or spawn in some clowns for ammo drops. And the devil-shaped tunnel towards the end of the track is of special note, but the coaster itself is all this fight needs to be memorable. What's funny is that the coaster often destroys parts of the track only for it to be magically fixed by the time we loop back. As intimidating as the boss is now, it has a second phase.
You revealed yourself!
You know, it might have been creepier before. When it comes in for a bite, the inanimate frog face has a more unstoppable force field to it, versus the desperate chomping of the demonic true form. Either way, despite the change in appearance, its attack pattern remains the same, meaning no change is needed from the player to finish the fight.
I feel sick.
Oh, I had quite a good time.
Up next is the Carrousel.
They look kind of relaxed.
They're not taking us seriously!
Okay, that's funny. True to its name, we are here to investigate the park's carousel. Sure enough, the carousel is infested with axe-wielding clowns. It's easy to clear them off, as you just have to wait until the side rotates the clowns into view. The horses, however, don't take too kindly to us shooting near them.
What? What's that?
Huh, I'd ride it. It's time to move on, though.
What?
Over there!
It's him!
Okay, for some reason they act like we should recognize the hammer clown, but outside of him being like the other large clowns, I can't recall. Either way, the game has gone out of its way to tell us to defeat him. They treat him like a sub-boss here, but he has the same health bar as he always does. At least his attack pattern is different here. He'll jump between 3 test your strength bells. Rather than ring the bells, he'll use them to fire rabbits at you. Though, just like before, the player can just shoot them away. The real damage gained from this section is from the Rambo clown stationed at the side. At a 3rd health, the hammer clown will lose patience.
He's coming!
Just shoot!
The large clown will get up close to hit us with the hammer, but that just makes him an easier target. Let's take a snack break at the food court.
What's that sound?
It's getting closer.
Vendors?
Whoa! It's after us!
The vendor clowns greatly resembled the default variant. However, they tossed ketchup, mustard, and the occasional hot dog at us. They're a bit disappointing compared to the teenagers of the Carnival food court, but there's still something charming about the whole concept. We head on inside, though it seems to be occupied.
Are we interrupting dinner?
Shh! Quiet! Let's try and get past them undetected.
Got it. Oh, damn it!
Whoops! Funny enough, this is the only time we'll see the maid clowns, though they are just reskins of the defaults. We duck into the kitchen, and unsurprisingly, Haunted Land has a pest problem.
It's massive!
It's disgusting!
It seems that the biggest clown spider has set up shop in this hall. This massive bug threatens to come near us. In reality, though, it never actually comes up all the way to us. It'll fake us out on a loop if it gets too close, and will spawn in endless normal clown spiders. Even then, only a few of the spiders actually attack us, with most of any particular wave immediately running past us. Hypothetically, someone with a keen eye could hang around on the screen easy for as long as they want until the timer ran out. Most are going to want to keep moving though. So, finish off the spider, allowing it one last false charge. We enter the kitchen through the freezer.
Help!
He's taking a hostage!
Don't hit any civilians!
This is another precision sniper challenge. The clowns are much closer this time though, so it's probably the easiest sniper challenge so far. We head deeper into the back rooms, coming up to 3 elevators.
There's still more people trapped inside.
Okay, leave it to us.
He's here!
This challenge is a lot of fun. The elevators will open up in sequence, spawning in either a clown or a hostage per elevator. The idea is to speed through it as fast as you can without accidentally killing a civilian. Most of the clowns are standard and will immediately throw projectiles at you that you'll need to shoot away. Before the end, the clowns will even drop down from the roof access, and the whole thing will be finished off by a large wave of Rambo clowns. Let's head deeper into the kitchen itself.
So, this is the kitchen.
Look! Even monsters cook!
I don't care about that!
Needless to say, the food staff isn't happy with us, and their pest problem is pretty bad. It seems the magician is also grabbing a bite to eat.
There!
Oh, huh. To be honest, this boss is a step below the previous ones. The chef looks like the love child of the Pillsbury Doughboy and the chefs from Little Nightmares. When you break it down though, he's just a giant man in a chef getup. To make up for this, he has a unique gimmick. His boss loop is pretty basic, with him just chasing you through the halls, but he also incorporates a player hostage mechanic. Assuming both players are active, he will grab either Chris or Akira, disabling that player. It's up to the other player to save them. They have to shoot the knife's target circle a number of times to parry the attack. Fail, and the hostage player takes damage. What's extra funny is that you can shoot the hostage character and they'll flash yellow as if taking damage, leaving room for jokes between friends. However, this doesn't directly damage the hostage, so the trolling potential is limited. While both players are grabbed in a single loop, it's unlikely you'll see both with how fast this boss goes down.
We did it!
A chef like that's gonna give a phobia for restaurants.
You never know. He might be a really good cook.
Up next, let's take the train.
Help!
We start off with default clowns, including one with a new conductor skin. Not long after getting here though, the train starts to leave without us.
It's moving!
It's coming for us!
Thank you.
Boarding the train was easy, but probably because the clowns have a couple ambushes waiting for us on board. Careful of the pop-up hostages. Apparently, this train has a neighboring track.
They're coming from over there, too!
We clear out the other train of clowns, but it has hostage passengers as well. The clowns have a new toy, too. I like these planes, and gives us something else to look at without slowing the pace. Speaking of, we're going pretty fast for a theme park train. It's a good thing these train tracks cutting through the park are clear.
Watch out!
It's derailed!
Shoot the wheels!
Oh, who didn't see that coming? Anyway, it's up to us to stop the derailing train by shooting the wheels. I don't think this game knows why derailed trains are dangerous. Either way, all we need to do is shoot the wheels until they're destroyed. If we fail, the runaway train crashes into a wall and the level ends. If we succeed, the train comes to a safe stop and we get a brief shot of the rescued civilians. Regardless of whether you save the train or not, the next level begins with it on fire.
Oh no, a fire!
Well, it seems the clowns don't mind the fire too much. Thankfully, someone has already alerted emergency services.
A fire engine!
There's nothing good about it! They're enemies! Ow!
Okay, so I really love the idea of the firefighter clowns. Not the reskinned defaults, the ones with flamethrowers. This is not what they mean when they say fight fire with fire. Either way, I hope they've been trained in electrical fires as well, because this park has animatronics.
Pandas?
Great! They're not cute at all!
Unfortunately for the Five Nights fans, the dogs and pandas just whack us with their arms a bit before moving on.
It's coming from over there!
They've been trapped by clowns.
We're too far away!
For times like these, sniper scope.
Weird. That cutscene suggests that this should be our first use of the sniper rifles, but we've been covering the levels in the order set by the game. Either way, we have another hostage rescue mission. Our reticles have been switched to a useless false zoom, but thankfully the camera has already zoomed in enough to make up for it. It's a pretty easy section, and the hostages stay still, so if anything, this challenge is easier than normal gameplay. Our next level is just called Gulliver. Don't ask me what that means, but this level appears to be inspired by fairy tale theme parks like what they have in Europe. I thought we had that covered by the adventure levels, but the devs were really reaching here on what is normal at a theme park. Y'all will see. Trust me. Anyway, we open the level by courting the Disney lawyers. We are about to enter the cabin of the 7 dwarves. Out front is a sign clearly depicting Disney's version of the dwarves, right down to the color of their clothing. Taito, what are you doing? I also can't help but wonder what this exhibit was meant to be. A walkthrough exhibit? A sign tells guests to kick out the 7 dwarves quickly, which is hopefully a change due to the haunting incident. Either way, let's stop stalling.
Oh look! A dwarf's house!
Wow, the ceilings are so low. A dwarf!
That has to be a translation error. Please be a translation error. Thankfully, the dwarves are Nordic myth style and they appear to be made of mostly ceramics.
Damn! They've taken the lights out!
Let's use our night scopes. There!
The night scope in question is just a fuzzy green overlay, but points for creativity. We head out back outside and get a look at the boss of the level.
Gulliver's Travels!
To be honest, I don't understand this attraction. Going from the sign out front, this exhibit was just a giant recreation of that one scene from Gulliver's Travels where he is tied down by the Lilliputians. It seems guests just went up on the rafters to see it, which is good, because letting them climb on a metal statue would have been a lawsuit waiting to happen. Either way, he's our next boss.
There! It's Gulliver! It's moving!
you on.
We start the fight with Gulliver trying to stomp on us, but whether or not we shoot, his foot will crumble under him.
He can fly?
Anything goes, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is weird. The arena is identical to that scene from The Incredibles where Dash runs on water. The giant statue of Gulliver, propelled by rockets, will grab random shit from the water to throw at us along with firing missiles and summoning swarms of clown bats. As we destroy the statue, it will give way to concrete layers, mechanical bones, and a decent joke. You'd think that with the rockets and the casing being open, the statue wouldn't be waterproof. Not that it matters because he explodes too. I love that the clowns bail like that.
I didn't know Gulliver could fly.
I don't think he can, usually.
For our next set of levels, let's head towards the Spinning Teacups ride, a classic of any theme park. Oh, wait, no. Says here they're coffee cups. Okay, no, these cups are definitely... You know what? Never mind. The area around the, coffee cups starts with my favorite Chris moment.
Oh, I just love balloons.
You know, if you ask nicely, he might give you one.
I love that. But the clowns didn't.
Here comes the cavalry!
I find this use of the balloons hilarious. Though I'm sad to say that if you pop all of the clowns' balloons, they just explode rather than fall to their death. Not only that, but if a clown does get close to landing, they'll just cease to be. After taking care of a couple clowns, we approach the ride itself.
Look out!
Concentrate your fire!
Help!
And look, the sign says teacups. I knew it. This leads us into probably the most difficult hostage challenge.
What the? We're moving! The hostages, they're trapped! We've got to help them!
Using sniper lasers, you need to focus in on the clowns as the cups rotate. The clowns all take multiple shots, so repeated fire during a single aiming window is required. Despite being the most difficult hostage challenge, I still hesitate to call it genuinely difficult. The hostages you succeed in rescuing are all rewarded to your count.
Thank you.
Up next is something we should all be a little familiar with, a haunted house.
House of Horrors. I remember as a kid going to the... Ah!
Come on, let's go!
It looks like there's no one here.
Stay sharp.
Oh my, look!
It seems that the haunted house was already abandoned or under construction when the haunting began. After clearing a large wave of clowns as well as haunted paintings,
Thank you. Thank you.
we head on down to the prison, which is immediately connected to the front entrance. If this place had been a real residence, I would consider this layout decision to be either a major power move or the biggest red flag. Seeing how this was actually a walkthrough attraction though, I can't help but wonder what they might be keeping down below.
Feels kind of creepy in here.
Man up a little, will ya?
Ah!
It's nothing. Part of the attraction.
Oh, and remember those crusty jugglers, maids, Arabian clowns, and a whole bunch of other enemies we saw once and never again? Add axe-wielding undead to that list. I'll give kudos for enemy visual variety, but I can't help but question the resource management of this project. Unfortunately, most of those one-off enemies are also identical to the default clowns in terms of mechanics, so I can't help but see most of these as missed opportunities. Moving on.
What's happening?
He's coming for us!
Shoot it!
Is it dinner time?
That's sick.
You're really thinking about it?
Ugh, there's a clown in my food.
Are we rotating?
He's causing it!
Yeah, he's disappeared.
We've got to find him!
Let's have some fun with rotating screens. This conjoined twin version of Orko is our boss of the level, but we'll have to wait to deal with him. For now, we'll have to work our way back to the front of the house.
Getting dizzy. Haven't we been here before? Ah!
Seems like this isn't part of the attraction! Don't stop shooting!
Oh, huh. Our surprisingly gory mummy comes up close all slow-like, and then starts smacking us in the face, not unlike the Hammer Clown's last phase. He even has a health bar like the Hammer Clown. We make our way back to the front entrance, but with the high ceiling both ways, our movement is limited.
There he is!
The Mirror Wizard fight is definitely more annoying than difficult. In addition to occasionally flipping the gravity, throwing axes, and spawning in other variants of Clown, the Mirror Wizard will teleport around with a few seconds spent as invisible lightning. It artificially lengthens the battle a bit, but even then it won't take long until he enters the next phase.
What?
Wow, there's loads of them!
In this panic phase, the Mirror Wizard will rotate us around upside down and spam axes at us. That's it. Please, Orko, I'm gonna be sick, dude. The good news is that he has stopped teleporting, so focusing gunfire should keep things quick.
Great! Yes, we're back to normal.
We've ended up in the offices and back rooms of the haunted house.
It's strangely quiet.
Imagine if something came out of those lockers. Wow!
Ah! Furries, kill it!
Ow!
But it's been a whole 2 seconds without a clown.
Yikes! There's so many of them!
Run! Head for the side exit!
It won't open! They're here!
Look for the key!
We have to shoot the correct key. It's shown at the time, so it's just a matter of looking around to find it. There are several false keys in the room as well, but again, the key you need is shown on screen the entire time. If you fail, somehow, you get a small batch of clowns to clear out.
Yeah! They're coming in!
Either way, we bail out the back.
It's one!
Yes, got it! Thank you. Phew! At last we're out.
What?
It's moving!
It's action time!
Spooky, scary skeletons send shivers down your spine, but this boss is funny when he starts crawling on all fours. Most of the fight is us circling around the arena, while common enemies attack us, while the skeleton does things in the background. Occasionally, the skeleton will toss things at us and throw us into the air. Eventually, you'll go in for a singular parryable bite. That in mind, his funny but simple movement pattern makes him an easy fight.
All 5 collected.
I wonder what's coming next.
Before we head to the final level, let's address the graphics first. Similar to the first game, the graphics are questionable for a PC-based arcade game. However, FrightFearLand seems to be designed around the limitations of the graphics. The locations are more often well lit with props that utilize smooth textures. This, mixed with the bold colors, creates a solid visual style that masks the graphics limitations more efficiently. To be clear, the graphics of neither game is upsettingly bad, but notable factors, such as the lighting, is behind what home PCs could provide at the time. Both games used the Taito Type X2 system board, which is the same board as the infamous Gaia Attack 4, and is primarily used for games with an anime aesthetic, so the fault is definitely not with the game devs themselves. I'd also like to point out that both of the Haunted Museum games have those types of graphics that immediately look better in your memories when you look away compared to the actual visuals. And I just know there will be comments saying I'm too harsh on them without people doing any side-by-side comparisons. Either way, I like these two games, including their unique visuals. And I think it's about time we head on to the final level.
The light!
A parade?
There are so many of them!
So yeah, a parade, which is probably the best final setup this game could have. That in mind, the parade is made up of clowns, furries, and condom ghosts? So I can't say that this parade is anything short of horrific. Scary or not, we'll make our way to the back where the magician is waiting for us. Final boss time. And I'm going to be honest, this fight is probably the worst of the game. We've been transported to a world of constant rotation and multicolor vomit. The final boss will zoom around the screen, spamming enemies spewing portals. The enemies will literally just fly into our face to damage us, removing any mechanical variety they could have provided. And while the boss is hard to hit, his health bar isn't particularly larger.
To normal.
It's him! Be careful! It's fallen!
We're gonna help!
Just like the first game, the ending is decided by this singular ending challenge. Though this time it's decided by this single hook shot accuracy test. Let's see the bad ending first.
It's not there!
Where is he gone?
Two detectives went missing after being assigned to a missing persons case.
Help!
That's definitely funnier than the first game's bad end, though probably for all the wrong reasons. Okay, now for the good end.
I had no idea magicians really existed.
And as if it was the owner of the park.
I never want to see another clown or theme park again. Hey, how about a tasty burger? Ah!
And there's even a best ending if you collect all the hostages.
Reports from the crime scene. At this current moment, we've been informed all the missing 100 have been rescued. I repeat, all the missing 100 have been rescued.
And that was Haunted Museum 2, better known as Welcome to FrightFearLand. Quick music stop. Unlike the first game, FrightFearLand takes a more traditional approach to music assignment and uses themes for individual settings with some minor tracks repeating. I'm sad to say though that the music is a bit of a letdown. Instead of having remixed circus music or something Elfman-like like Carnival, it showcases music that, while good, is generic in theme. In fact, I would say that most of the soundtrack would fit a Pokemon game better than a circus. Still, it gets the job done and it never bothered me during gameplay. Overall, FrightFearLand is a good entry in the rail shooter genre, with a lot of fun moments and fast-paced gameplay. While it would be accurate to say that both the first and last game are ripping off previous works, ironically, the second game, despite being more obvious in its source material, breaks away into its own identity far better than its first entry. It stands out and invokes Carnival without becoming a lesser version of it. That in mind, I would still rank Carnival higher, with it being one of the best rail shooters of all time. Still, FrightFearLand deserves to be remembered with its own separate legacy. I'm often asked how to play the games I cover despite having dedicated sections in my videos. In this case, as of me writing this, both Haunted Museum games appear to be unavailable directly from Taito. So much so that they no longer have an official page on their Japanese website. As such, non-collectors will have to resort to a particular bird-themed or similar program in order to play these games privately. The games are basically PC games, so no true emulation is required. Further information is legally dubious, so I won't help you there. And of course, the best way to play these games will always be on genuine machines found in the wild. I've never seen these particular games in my area's arcades, so I have no idea how common the machines are in general nowadays. And that should be about it. This review was started and planned for last year, but real life had other ideas. My biggest challenge with this channel has been time management, and the fact that I'm only one person has forced me to address a lot of inefficiencies in my life in general. I'm sorry this has become alarmingly visible on my channels, and I'm thankful that y'all continue to stick around and support me. Hopefully, by the time this video comes out, I would have addressed everything and gotten all my channels on track. And with that, I must say goodbye. I'm gonna go now and ride some demonic roller coasters. Bye!
It's a circus! Yippee!
Yippee!